Lawyers representing 18-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse have tried again to request a mistrial. Rittenhouse is charged with killing 2 people and attempted homicide in the wounding of another man during a chaotic night in Kenosha, Wisconsin last year. Protesters gathered outside of the courthouse in Kenosha while the jury deliberated. Sky News Washington correspondent Annalise Nielsen is there. I spoke to her a short time ago and asked her why this trial has gained so much national attention.
Kieran, it's a really interesting point because there are quite a few high-profile cases happening at the moment, but this one in particular seems to have really hit a nerve for a few different reasons. Firstly, the trial played out, it was broadcast nationally, streamed through the county court website, and it's there that we got to see just how combative some of the evidence was, in particular between the judge and the prosecution, and that's been a huge factor in why this has gained so much attention. Also the fact that this is hitting on the Second Amendment in the United States, with another discussion now hitting the Supreme Court around the right to carry weapons out in public. And so the fact that this young man was carrying an AR-15 in this situation and then used it, his defence team says, for self-defence, is quite critical to that debate that's playing out nationally as well. It's also just the wash-up from what was a really traumatic year for a lot of communities across the United States. Kenosha was just one of a number of different cities across the country that had riots, looting and vandalism that made a lot of people feel very unsafe. And while the city seems to have healed, it's just kind of hitting that nerve that there could be a potential for more riots again, that there could be a potential for more unrest, enough that they have called in 500 National Guard to be on standby. We haven't seen their presence here, but there have been police on standby, as there have been some scuffles among the crowd. 2 people arrested after punches were thrown among supporters of Kyle Rittenhouse, and then also the ones who are protesting and want him sent to jail. And so there has been some tension. Another man was moved on because he was carrying a semi-automatic weapon himself. Whether there will be any kind of retributions after the decisions handed down by the jury remains to be seen, but this is quite a closely watched case across the country.
Now, Annalise, the defence has twice now moved for a mistrial without success, though.
Look, this case has raised some really interesting points of law. The first was a call to mistrial over the prosecutor bringing up the fact that Kyle Rittenhouse used his right to silence after he was arrested. Now, that's quite a fundamental right for anyone accused of a crime in the United States, and so the judge was quite upset at that being brought up, but hasn't actually ruled on that motion yet. Now, what was interesting in that is that the defence called for a mistrial, I should say, with prejudice. In that instance, he would be let go and he couldn't be retried on these charges. So that would be just a huge critical failure if that were to pass. The second mistrial attempt has been around this drone vision that showed the first shooting on that night. Now, the defence was given a lower resolution drone video than what was given to the jury, and so they said that they didn't have the opportunity to then respond to what that was shown to the jury. Now, after some deliberation, they were shown the high definition, they were shown again some of the video footage that they wanted to watch, but that was in complete isolation while being in the court. Even the judge wasn't in the room. They've deliberated now for 16 hours. They've gone home for the night. They're not being sequestered despite the high-profile nature of this trial. And it's anyone's guess how long they're going to take, but it's quite obvious it's not just in the general public that this has become quite a contentious case. It's quite a difficult one for the jury as well.